well, I'm going to show you how to put on interfacing. Okay, so we have our interfacing, and we want the sparkly side. You probably can't tell. It's sparkly and it's rougher than the other side. And you put that rough side down onto the wrong side of the fabric. So on Lily's fabric, this is shiny and this is not shiny. I put down the extra layers of cotton because our great problem under here. You have to have a wet cloth, wet it, and squeeze it out so it's just a little damp. Lay it on top of the interfacing. So it's all covered. High and on steam.
Well, medium high.
Medium high.
You don't want to melt your fabric.
Well, you'll know once you've ironed your fabric if it's too hot or not. And then you're going to leave it on for 20 short seconds. 20. Then, the iron doesn't cover the entire thing, so I have to move over here again. You don't want to move like you would if you were ironing. You're just pressing down. And then we're going to test if the iron got it on by, like, gently running our fingers across here. And if it catches at all, then it wasn't on there long enough.
Or your iron turned itself off.
Which ours tends to do. So, yeah. And that's how you got iron interfacing in.
Thanks, Jasmine.
You're welcome. These are center front. These are side front. You know this because the notches match. So it's a sweetheart neckline, so once they're all together, it'll be like this, but pretty.
But pretty.
So I'm just pinning all of these pieces together so we can sew them.
Hooray!
Yep. Sew the actual pieces of the dress.
It's pretty amazing.
See?
Holy goodness. Okay,
Yes.
hold on.
So right now I'm going to be sewing together the lining. That's the inside of her wedding dress. And then I'll be sewing together the actual bodice.
Bah!
Ah!
Crazy.
So, yeah. Exciting business going on today. Here I go.
This is a momentous occasion.
And away we go.
We're pinning together all the pieces for the bodice. I realized we'd missed one.
Uh-oh.
So it's okay, we're gonna pin it out now. We're doing something rather clever in the back. So it's gonna have lacing up the back here. And then hidden underneath the flap that has the lacing on it, we have a zipper. So that the strain of the dress is actually taken by the zipper rather than the lacing.
Otherwise it might fall down.
Might fall off. And if you've seen the wedding dresses where it's laced and it's like pulling and it's just unattractive. So let's have the lacing be decorative. Maybe add a little cinch if she happens to lose a couple pounds before the wedding. The zipper is hidden here under the side, which means in this back panel we need a little bit of this panel over here on the side. We need a little bit more. So I need to make another like edge of this back pattern piece. So cutting out just this edge here. And so there was something we forgot to mention when we were doing the iron-on interfacing that I thought I would add. So here's my satin. And now here's... So that's another thing. You're like, oh wait, where does the interfacing go? So if it's on this side, then I flip it over, and then I have my scrap of, so I cut out wrong because I wasn't thinking. So I have this here, and it's going to be a narrow piece, so it's okay if it doesn't cover all the way to there. And I'm going to cut out my bit of interfacing in the back, and I just have some scrap here. When you do your iron-on interfacing, you don't want it to be all the way out to the edge of your fabric, because then you have all that bulky stiffness of the interfacing all the way out in your seam, and it just it becomes a kind of a mess. And so what I'm doing here, I'm pulling back. It's not quite 5/8. I'm a little bit shy of 5/8, but I'm pulling back from the side. And you know, when you have a store-bought pattern, it might come with pattern pieces for this. We're just
making them up.
We're making them up as we go. So here my bottom piece, I'm going to go up to about the waistline and cut across. But here you can see that it doesn't quite go out to the edge. In fact, I'm going to take off a little bit. Make sure on the bodice that you're getting all the way up to, like, you can even go a little past. So get up close to the end.
I don't know what they
Oh.
Okay, so first of all, irons are hot. I burned myself.
Ouch.
So anyway, so what we did here, we had these pieces that we put the interfacing on. We got the angles on the ends correct and just sewed across there and then turned them right side out. And I didn't even press it with an iron, I just pressed it with my fingers. Now those look lovely.
Lovely.
So the eyelets are going for the lacing.
Mm-hmm.
So now we got to figure out how to get all these pieces together so that it looks right. And it's confusing even if you know what you're doing.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to give you some pointers on how to not get it totally screwed up because you don't want to sew this 5 times.
Penny's
at all.
pointers to avoid sewing 5 times.
Yeah. So anyway, so what I've done is I've taken all of my layers and put them in order that they would be finished. So I've got the top piece, I have the lining fabric, which the lining fabric isn't cotton because this is on the outside, it's more of the shiny fabric.
Mm-hmm.
And I've got that, so it's the sides together, so it's like in its proper sandwich, and then that piece is going to go off the edge like this. And I did the same thing over here. And so now I go, okay, so now I have to turn it so it's the right sides together. So I'm going to take this little piece and just take and flip it over like I'm flipping over a sandwich or lid or something. So I got that lined up. I'm pulling this over so I can get that separate, and then I've got this piece here, and I keep flipping it around. So now I've got right sides together, I've got all the shiny bits together, and I've got my thing for the eyelets in between. I'm just going to take one pin, they're not lined up properly yet, and just pin them together so that I know the order is right. So it's like, okay, now I can let go of this. Notches would have helped, but we're going to do it without notches. And plus I was worried that I had it too thin and whatever. So anyway, so now I'm going to take out my one pin.
She made it work.
Just make it work, baby. So now I'm going to take and sort of peel back my layers. Got a ruler here. I know I'm sewing it at 5/8, so I'm taking this, lining that up at 5/8, lining that up at 5/8, so I've got where my 5/8 crosses my 5/8 point is there. So I know this thing needs to go up to that point. 5/8 going this way. And 5/8 going that way. And this, oops. Lines up where 5/8 crosses 5/8. Hold that puppy down. Line these guys up. Stick my pin through the 15 layers.
15 layers.
Well, it feels like it. Like it physically feels like it too. So now I want to make sure when I sew around this corner, I don't want to sew this point into the thing. So I'm actually going to sew here and down and then stop, and then I'll tuck that corner in place. So we need to have our top edge finished, and our side and our bottom. We have 3 edges that are going to be finished. Here's our lovely mock-up. So these are these little wings. These little flappy wings that I'm making here. There we go. Thank you.
Which are very important
Which are very important.
to hold it on.
Well, no, they're totally decorative. They don't hold anything on, but
really?
yeah.
Because that's where your lacing is going to be.
That's where your lacing is.
It's attaching to this.
See that the
This is
But,
where
grommets are gonna
but
go.
the
and this
grommets
right
go in there,
here.
exactly. But they're important because otherwise you don't have your style.
Okay. Can I stop
They're a
filming?
total fashion fake out. Okay, so we broke a needle, and then the other machine decided it just couldn't handle that thick fabric anymore. We brought out the workhorse again. This machine, I don't know why it can handle anything, but it can. So we sewed down to the end, and you can see we have this little pointy bit that, once it's folded over, that's going to go down for the grommets. Follows that line. But right now, if I try sew across here, I'm going to sew across that pointy bit. So I need to take that pointy bit and fold it up as tight as I can.